What's up, guys? Here I am, 39 weeks pregnant, and yeah, I'm still pregnant. I know a lot of people hope to go into labor early and get the baby out, as soon as possible after they hit like 38 weeks. I'm not feeling too bad, to be honest, and I'm totally fine still being pregnant at 39 weeks. Maybe a different conversation at 41, but this week has been a good week.
I'm here sitting in my little home office on the most comfy chair in the world with this dog and this baby, wearing what I was planning on wearing home from the birth center after Banner was born. And I've had it for a while, and I needed to put on something warmer when I went for a walk. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be putting this on right after he's born now. I'm going to be laying with him in my own bed. So yeah, here it is. And I'm glad that I put it on because it's actually kind of big on me now. So I probably won't wear it very much after. But I'll be lounging in it for the next 2 weeks. Not every day. Come on, guys. I'm going to wash it. But trying to get a lot of work done. I'm not super motivated. I would love to be doing that or hanging out with Knox, but I really need to get ahead. So I should probably get back to it.
This week, honestly, was a pretty normal week for me, as far as, normal since the stay-at-home orders have started. I've just been working a lot still, really trying to get ahead, but also spending as much time with Knox as possible. His days of being an only child have been numbered, obviously, since I got pregnant. But now they're extremely numbered. We don't know how many are left. And I know that my time is gonna be pulled away from him even more when the baby comes. So just really trying to spend time with him and talk to him about what's about to happen and create some memories for his last few days of being an only child. And it's just been awesome. We had a really great day with him yesterday. He came home from hanging out at Julian's mom's house, and it was like he aged like 6 months in like a day. He was like full. He's talked really well for a long time, but it was like much longer sentences and just jabbering away, and it's been cool. And now we're really excited to see how all of that transitions over to him being a big brother. And yeah, really trying to make sure that we create some special memories with him before Banner comes. The other thing that kind of came up this week for me was, because this is our second baby, obviously, is starting to think about how hard having a baby can be on your relationship. I know that a lot of the first-time parents out there might be kind of like thinking like, oh no, like, we've been together forever, and we communicate really well, and we have a great relationship. We have a plan. That's like probably the number one thing that most first-time parents are probably thinking, is we have a really good plan and we're gonna crush it. And that might be true, and it might be a great plan, but I just remember when Knox was born, especially because he had such a hard time sleeping, like lack of sleep and just stress changes your personality. It changes how what your fuse is like, or just for me, I get kind of like snappy and sarcastic and rude when I'm tired or cranky, and Julian just pretty much shuts down and doesn't want to talk at all, and then those two things don't go well together, and it can be really rough. And then especially as a mom, like I felt last time like I looked less attractive physically for the month or two after Knox was born than I did when I was fully pregnant, because your body's just kind of like, you're not pregnant anymore, but you're also not yourself still, and it's just like this very weird phase where everything's kind of, I don't want to say broken, but a little bit. And it's a tough, weird, awkward phase for your relationship. And the longer the lack of sleep lasts, the more that can wear on you. So I started thinking about that this week, and I actually asked Julian if we could do something. We haven't done it yet. We should probably do it like now-ish, just in case he comes like tonight. But I asked him if we could write each other a letter, and he's not like a big letter writer. I am. I'll write you a 10-page letter about how I feel about you, but he's not big into that. But just like a paragraph or a page that says like, hey, this is how I feel about you now. This is how excited I am about this baby coming. This is how I feel about our family. And no matter what I just said or did, or the argument that we just got in, or how I'm ignoring you, I just want you to remember that we're in this together, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And both of us to write something like that to each other, so that when those moments come up, we can like pull those out and remember like, we're just tired. This is hard. It's hard. Whether you have like a really, easy baby that sleeps well and eats well, or, you have one that's got some issues with that stuff. Like, it's just hard. It's new. And I know it's going to be a different type of hard now with two. So just, I think, so many people think about the baby's room and having all the clothes and having all the diapers. And obviously there's been like our remodel and like doing the house and like preparing my body by doing the movements and the stretches and the breathing exercises and all of that stuff. And, make sure you have food ready and make sure you have this and that for the birth. And because we're doing a home birth, like all of the stuff that we need here. I think that sometimes we forget to think about our relationship with our spouse, put a lot of emphasis on preparing Knox for all of this. But it's been kind of cool for the last few days to think about that and have some conversations with Julian about that. And I'm glad that I got to that point before he came, so that we could at least talk about it before he came. And we remembered how hard it was. I mean, we had some like pretty like, they were probably, if you were to see the arguments now, like if they had been filmed, it would almost like probably seem like a parody because of whatever we were arguing. But you're just so tired, and especially when it's new, like you're second guessing every decision that you make. And he brought up a really good point when we were filming the podcast earlier, like your parenting styles even. That's stuff you can talk about before, but it really comes out and you see your spouse do something or say something to your child and you're like, what? That's not how we're gonna raise our kid, or whatever. I remember one time specifically with Knox, he's a baby, so he was crying and Julian ran upstairs. He's like, why is he crying? What's wrong with him? And I was like, because he's a baby. Like, you just gotta get used to the fact that he's gonna cry. But neither one of us had been around babies that much before Knox was born. So all things that we're just thinking about, and I'm glad that we're thinking about now and talking about.
Yeah, this week we were just talking about communication when Banner gets here, because we know, all we have to compare is with our first experience with Knox, where you don't know what to expect. Next thing you know, we get a kid that doesn't do well with sleeping, and we weren't used to that, because even when she was pregnant, we were still sleeping, and that's what we were used to. We'd sleep in, and that was nice. But then when Knox got here, everything changed. It's easy to hold it and sustain it for about a month or two because you're excited and it's just so new, but then that becomes a new norm and it just really catches up to you. The lack of sleep really affects communication, especially if you didn't have a really good foundation for it in the first place. So that was something that was really hard on us. We had to do a lot of adjusting. There's a lot of arguments, a lot of arguments actually. And we just weren't kind to ourselves really, but we never slowed down enough, especially since we had like the business and first time parents and moving and, team, with staff and everything. Like it just was really catching up. But finally, once Knox got into like a groove of 14 months, he was finally starting to sleep throughout the night. It was becoming easier for us to get some sleep. And then one of the things that I think we both started doing was just reading like books. I got into psychological books and stuff, and then like the 5 love languages, and all that stuff really helped a lot. I started reading books on sleep as well, nutrition, all those things that really helped the relationship. And then we communicated together about all the stuff that I was learning and that she knew already. But a lot of it was self-development for sure for me, realizing that I needed to find a better way to communicate and not take things so personal, which I think a lot of people tend to do, take things very personal. And how could you not, especially when you don't sleep well? Like you're not rational. And then it's interesting, when I read this sleep book not too long ago, I'd say a couple months ago, it just opened my eyes to realizing how important it is for a relationship and for you in general.
Getting ready to go to bed here on Sunday, and had a pretty eventful day, like physically. I never got dressed or put on makeup or anything like that, but so there's that. But we had our little like date night tonight with pizza and a movie that we do every Saturday. But before that, I was having some like really pretty strong cramps for about an hour that I was convinced might be the beginning of labor. Of course, I went and laid down and they went away, so not. And then I went for a walk when Julian went to pick up the pizza, and they came back, but they went away again. But anyway, definitely feel like a lot going on physically, and like different than the Braxton Hicks that I've been used to anyway, maybe stronger or something a little bit different. And it just, for a while this evening, definitely made everything feel very real.
So the ways that this pregnancy has been different from the first one, I think the beginning of this one, the first trimester and maybe a lot of the second trimester, were physically harder. And I believe that to be because I'm more busy and because I have a toddler. So there's not sleeping all day on Sunday as an option. Knox wakes up, even if I'm not the one waking up with him, which Julian has been so helpful this whole time, because it's been really important for me to get sleep. But I hear him, he wakes up, I'm basically awake, even if I'm not the one that goes like downstairs with him or whatever. And then when he comes home after we've been working all day, it's just playtime. So I was definitely way more exhausted. The first part of pregnancy this time was physically harder, for sure. But light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. This last part, I feel so much better physically now than I did at 39 weeks pregnant with Knox. And I don't know if that's because maybe I just knew what to expect, or I attribute a lot of it to our eating, because number one, stay-at-home order, but number two, we don't eat out as much anymore. So I feel physically a lot better now. And I'm way more like patient with still being pregnant at 39 weeks. I think, I remember when I was pregnant with Knox really wanting it to be over already at this point. And I'm really excited to meet Banner, but I'm not like, get this baby out of me or anything like that. The midwives, so I had an appointment with the midwives this week, but it was just over the phone, of course, because stay at home. And we were talking about how Knox was such a good eater. Like, he breastfed so easily, and I know a lot of people have issues with that. And he did it for a year and a half with no issues ever. I'd never had issues with milk supply or anything. And they just kind of reminded me, and this is like, I'm glad they said this, that you're the same. So we know that you can provide milk, and we know that your like nipples or whatever are good for breastfeeding. This baby is different. So don't assume that you're gonna have as easy of a time with this baby as you will with Knox, because that might not be true, and then you're gonna get super frustrated and think that you're doing something wrong or different, or that you forgot how to do it. But so I'm glad that they said that. It's good to remember that even though I feel more prepared and I know what to expect, you still don't, kind of, because he's different, he's new, and you don't want to be overconfident. Something else I've been kind of like spending more time with, I was definitely overconfident in having a natural birth last time. And because I was like, I broke my neck, and I, competed at the CrossFit Games and blah, 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 whatever, right? And then it really caught me off guard how gnarly it was. So this time I've been studying a lot more. I've been reading some books and just watching videos and my music playlist and everything on actually practicing relaxing way more. I didn't do it at all last time. So I feel a little bit more prepared now to try some of those methods and hopefully have an easier labor where I'm not fighting against it the whole time. And I think last time I just kind of went into it thinking, oh, like I'm tough, like if people have natural birth, like I'm gonna crush it, like I can do it too, type of thing. And that was just naive, for sure.
What's up? It's Monday, April 13th, and I'm just taking a little walk outside. I got to go to the chiropractor today. She said that she can definitely feel that baby is lower, and she's probably felt him, honestly, besides me, more than anyone at this point, so that's cool. Just trying to keep pubic pain under control with these walks. We have a team meeting today, which of course is virtual because we're still in the stay home order, going on 4 weeks now, actually. I'm hoping that this will be my last meeting. Really, I feel like I've repeated this so much, but really trying to get ahead with work stuff so that I can just chill. But yeah, we're officially 12 days out from my due date and just kind of playing the waiting game. I'm not super like anxious for it to be over or crazy uncomfortable or like over it. So that's good. I'm in a pretty good mental space and just enjoying this last few days of being a mom of one.
It's funny, I was talking to Molly last night, my best friend, and I was like, I'm in that zone now where every night when I go to bed, I'm like, am I gonna wake up in labor in the middle of the night? Because to me, it happens in the middle of the night, because when I was in labor with Knox, I started having contractions, that at least ones that were strong enough to wake me up at 2 a.m. And I know obviously you can go into labor any time of day, but in my mind, it's like gonna wake me up in the middle of the night. So every night I'm like, okay, here we go. And so I picture it happening in the middle of the night and starting. And then we gotta wake up everyone. So we gotta call like the doula, and we gotta call the midwives, and we gotta call, we have some people coming over to take some photos and film some stuff. We'll let Lucy know, but obviously not waking Knox up. And he'll be here anyway, so hopefully I'll be able to keep it down for long enough. But I just kind of pictured, last time what happened is we went for a walk because I was like, I don't know if these are just like really strong Braxton Hicks contractions or what. Like, I don't want to wake everyone up if I'm like not really in labor. So we went for a walk and they kept getting stronger. And then, it is kind of nice now to think that we don't have to figure out when we're going to get in the car and go anywhere. I do want to try to lay down. I do want to try to eat something, especially if it happens in the middle of the night. Depending on when it happens, if I could get Knox to come and just like sit with me. Every morning we watch, like some cartoons, or he plays some games on his iPad and just kind of lays with me. So if I'm like still able to do that and not in too much pain, that would be like a really cool experience, I think, where we can tell him like, hey, baby Banner's coming today, like come sit with mama. And for as long as possible, you kind of want to take your mind off of it a little bit, because there's a long period of time between contractions at first, depending on how fast your labor goes, but like it'll be painful for like 45 seconds, but then you have like 5 minutes where I could be sitting with him and stuff. So just trying to like do some normal stuff until it gets to the really uncomfortable part. I think it got uncomfortable for me really quickly last time, and I don't know if it's just because I was fighting against it so hard or because I just wasn't ready for it. So we'll see. I mean, you always picture it being like this peaceful, beautiful thing, but I also remember that there will definitely be parts where I just will hate it and want it to end. I'm gonna try not to fight against it so much this time, though, for sure. All right, so who knows? By the time this is edited and even up, I might have this baby, or we might have a whole 2 more episodes before this baby shows up. But to stay tuned and find out, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, and yeah, we'll see what happens from here.